Jesus, Jesus.
My name is Matt Simpkins. I'm an Anglican priest and musician, and today I'm out walking the Saltings. The Saltings are great salt marsh wildernesses that clothe Essex's long estuaries and creeks. Here, nothing ever remains the same, and nothing is ever still. The water and wind, the birds and fish are in constant motion. Singing is everywhere, even the mud sings. The tides rise and fall, the days dawn and set, the seasons come and go, as do the geese and the swallows. It's a fabulously beautiful place because it's a place of constant change and uncertainty. So the Saltings are a good place to come and ponder the uncertainty we know in our lives today. Wars, pandemics, the climate emergency, food shortages, political scandal, and a cost of living crisis. These things aren't going away soon. So how might we best live with uncertainty? We just heard a song called Jesus. It wasn't written or sung by Christians, but it shows that for many people in times of uncertainty and suffering, Jesus is a name they call out to. The Velvet Underground's Lou Reed sings, "Jesus, help me find my proper place. Help me in my weakness." That's a sentiment people living with uncertainty might recognise, perhaps. It's also a sentiment heard in the Bible songs, the Psalms. "Hear my cry, O God. Listen to my prayer. I call to you when my heart is faint." So what might this Jesus have to teach those who live with uncertainty? Well, I found inspiration in something he says about salt in the 9th chapter of Mark's Gospel. "Have salt in yourselves and be at peace with one another." The Collingwood Centre at Colchester General Hospital is the chemotherapy and immunotherapy ward for this area, and I come here every 4 weeks for cancer treatment. It's open 6 days a week, and on working days there are usually more than 100 patients. That's many hundreds of people each week for whom the uncertainty of illness is an inescapable part of their lives. Before and after each treatment, we receive something called a saline flush, during which salt water is literally put into us. Though this isn't what Jesus meant by having salt in ourselves, of course, it is a good place to find out what I think Jesus was referring to. And that's because the Collingwood Centre is a place of deep care and compassion, and often laughter, as experiences and tea and biscuits are shared. That sort of love and care and hope is what Jesus wants for us and from us. If we have the salt of the good news of Jesus in us, people should know it by how we are, by our care. Back out on the Saltings, it becomes clear why Jesus' image of salt is so brilliant. Salt was fantastically valuable in ancient days. This whole area is full of so-called red hills where salt was extracted in Roman times. And of course, there's still money made from salt down the estuary in Malden. But I don't think that salt's preciousness was Jesus' only point. No, salt is used as a brilliant way of showing how Jesus changes normal life into rich life, as he puts it, life in abundance. Think about what happens when you put salt onto something. Salt enhances the flavour. It brings out the goodness and the taste that is there already. It doesn't make things taste of something else. It doesn't impose a new flavour. It brings out the flavour already there. Salt on a chip makes that chip even more chippy. So to have salt in ourselves is to bring out the goodness that God has put within us and that God wants for us. And when we bring it out, we can't help but share it. That gospel salt Jesus has given us reminds us not to impose ourselves, but to play our part in helping others find the goodness of God that is within them and within those around them. It inspires us to show them through our care that God delights and cares for them. The Collingwood Centre is a place where care and compassion helps people living with uncertainty to live as fully as they can. In this uncertain time, that's something each of us can do. We can care for others, be kind, be compassionate. And we can also look to the beautiful salt marshes of Essex for reassurance. In these days of change and uncertainty, look at the marshes and perhaps you'll see that in fact changing tides and seasons really is the reason that the saltings are always full of life. As the water comes and goes, the mud is kept rich. The saltings burst with shellfish and birds, samphire and sea aster. So when I try to follow Jesus' advice to have salt in myself and to reconnect with the gospel and show it, it's to the saltings that I come to walk and pray. I can't know with certainty what the future holds for me, but surrounded by the change and uncertainty that brings about the saltings' abundance of life, I always come away refreshed and inspired to try to show love and care, and with my hope resting in Jesus.
Through the long, long day of this troublous life, support us, Lord, till evening comes, when the shadows yawn and the world is world is hushed, life's fever falls, and our work is done. Then in mercy grant us safe lodging, and a holy rest and a blessed calm. Blessed calm and peace, peace at the last. So be it,
The Reverend Matt Simpkins and the Phantom Notes with their song John Henry's Prayer, another part of the reflection from the Reverend Matt Simpkins, priest in charge at St Leonard's in Lexton.